Thanks for tuning in to the channel. Of course, make sure you're subscribed to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Hit that like button on this video. The Cardinals 6-4 going in their bye week. The team atop the NFC West standings. I don't think really many anticipated this after 10 weeks of football in 2024, but that's where we stand. And we bring on our guy, Aaron Schatz from FTN Fantasy, joining us. Aaron, first kind of impressions, I guess, or 10 weeks worth of impressions of Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals.
I mean, better than expected. There's no question. We talked about that Kyler Murray had not been Kyler Murray since like 2021. And there was a question about whether that guy was coming back from like the first half of 2021. He's back. So this team, it's amazing. If you look at our DVOA ratings that we do for FTN Fantasy, you find them at ftnfantasy.com/DVOA. The Cardinals are basically a slightly above average team in every way, except the passing game, which is better than that because Murray is just having a really good season.
You know, Aaron, looking at the trends as a team, as somebody that follows this team as closely as we do, you know, from week 1 all the way through week 10, I have to imagine that passing attack just came on, you know, right around week 7 or week 8, mostly week 8 against the Miami Dolphins, and really hasn't looked back? Or has it been pretty steady according to your metrics all season long?
I think it's been more steady all season long. I think Murray was playing better than people expected early on. I think when you adjust for which opponents he played early and which opponents he played late, like Miami is not a good pass defense this year. So of course they looked a little bit better against Miami because they're just not a good defense. So I think when you adjust for which opponents he played when, I think it's been more steady than you might imagine and less recent.
Yeah. You know, from let's look at that offense. You know, you talk about K1, and then there's obviously the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think statistically, box score scouting, people probably wanted more from the 4th overall pick, but he's part of a very as far as this offense goes, there's a lot of playmakers, a lot of mouths to feed. They benefit from the run game. What have you seen? What's your analysis of Marvin Harrison Jr. through 10 weeks?
I mean, he looks pretty good. I think people want more because Malik Neighbors got off to such a ridiculous start.
Yeah.
And then it was like, why isn't Marvin Harrison doing what Malik Neighbors is doing? But Malik Neighbors has slowed down a little bit, not necessarily of his own volition, but you know, because of the offense that New York has. And Brian Thomas has obviously been really good as well. But I think Roma Dunze has been, you know, it's not like Roma Dunze is outplaying Marvin Harrison. And some of the later picks, you know, Xavier Worthy doesn't seem to know how to run routes. He's just really fast. Jalen Polk is not playing very well for the Patriots. So, I mean, I think Marvin Harrison he looks like a very good receiver. He's not blowing the doors off the place, but I think you got what you wanted.
What is the most, I guess, efficient part of this Cardinals offense that you guys see through your numbers? And I highly encourage people to go check out FTN Fantasy and their full database there, of course, of DVOA and all the other fantasy tools that you'll need to help win your leagues. But Aaron, what do you think that this team is the most efficient and maybe the most dangerous to the other teams?
The passing game. I mean, the passing game overall is number 5 in DVOA. So like I said, everything else about this team is like 14th.
Yeah. Like
every other element of this team is slightly above average, which, by the way, just as an aside, is better than expected.
Sure.
I would never have said before the season, the Arizona Cardinals defense is slightly above average. Like they looked like they would be bad.
Right.
And they haven't been. But the best thing has been the passing game. And I think, you know, we know who the main guys are, Harrison, McBride. I think the offensive line has been better than expected.
Yeah.
Both pass blocking and run blocking. It's interesting that we don't have the running game as more efficient than we do, given that they're a good run blocking line and that Connor breaks more tackles than anyone in the league. Like no matter who's counting, whether it's FTN's charting or PFF's charting or SIS, like whoever's charting it, we all have Connor with the most missed tackles of any running back in the league. So it's a little surprising that the running game isn't more efficient than it is, but it's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, it's middle of the road there if you were to look at it.
Slightly above average, like everything else about this team, except the passing game. The passing game is top 5.
But is it strange, like the head scratching part with the way that JC breaks tackles and creates more opportunities? Like you feel like it should probably be atop the league with that being said?
Maybe not atop the league, but it feels like it's not bad run blocking plus running back who avoids tackles. It's average run blocking plus running back who avoids tackles. So it feels like it should be more efficient than it is. But but he breaks a lot of tackles.
This is a team, Aaron, you mentioned the defense that we had very low expectations for going into year 2 under Jonathan Gannon. Like they'd really done some good work on the offensive side of the football, adding a franchise left tackle. We knew about James Conner and his productivity, albeit at 29 years old, and the additions of the playmakers in the passing attack, Marvin Harrison Jr. with Trey McBride, and then Kyler Murray having that potential to rebound. But this defense, there just wasn't a whole lot there. The last 3 home games, they've held opponents out of the end zone, now taking advantage of some real bad dysfunctional offenses in the Bears and the Jets. What are you seeing defensively? Is this Cardinals team being able to kind of weather the storm where they were very bad to start the season to get to the point where they are now, where they're able to get off the field to get the ball back in this offense's hands?
I think the scheme is strong, which makes sense because you have a defensive head coach. You're getting pressure without a lot of individually successful pass rushers. The Cardinals are 31st in ESPN's pass rush win rate. There's a reason why they went out and got Browning. Like they needed more pass rush. And then the coverage doesn't stand out in my numbers as great, right? Garrett Williams has been very good. But then I have Murphy Bunting and Thomas as a little bit below average, and I have Melton as a good amount below average.
Yeah.
Somehow that coverage where you've got one really good guy and the pass rush where the individuals are not winning their battles, but the scheme is winning battles, has come together to form this reasonable defense.
Now, I want to get more and highlight Garrett Williams because he is an analytical darling. He's up there as far as defensive DVOA in the secondary. Yeah. Can you shed some more light on our audience where he is really kind of excelling this season?
So I don't know about like what down and distance or anything like that, but I created this stat last year using the charting that we do at FTN where we know who's in coverage on every pass. So what this is it's a DVOA where it doesn't care if you have an incomplete pass or if you don't get thrown at all. All it does is penalizes you when you give up passes in coverage and gives you a bonus when you get an interception. Mm-hmm. And through week 9, because I update it every 2 weeks, Garrett Williams is 18th, which is pretty good.
Okay. Not bad for a guy that they got just inside the top 100.
Wasn't he an all Pac-12 in his last year? I mean, I think he fell a little bit in the draft compared to his college performance, but he was definitely a guy people had their eyes on. I know we do our top 25 under the radar prospects list. Yeah. And I know we had Williams on it as somebody that could break out this year.
Yeah. I mean, his unfortunate for him, but fortunate for the Cardinals, he suffered a knee injury in his final year with Syracuse. And
right.
Had him kind of fall down draft boards.
Why was I thinking someone was all Pac-12? Is that someone else who they ended up with maybe?
Potentially. Yeah. We'd have to. Right now, their top corners, one's from Rutgers, one's from Syracuse. So
those are not Pac-12 guys. I don't know where that came from in my memory.
No problem. I mean, look,
when you're stuffing 32 teams worth of guys in your memory, sometimes you get. Oh, I know who I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a guy from Atlanta.
Okay.
I'm thinking of a player from Atlanta, not a player from Arizona. They both start with A.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll get you out of here on this. Really encourage people to check out FTN Fantasy and the work of Aaron Schatz and what they're doing over there. This team, as you mentioned, kind of middle of the road outside of where they have success in the passing game. They had a bit of a gauntlet schedule to start. The likes of the Bills, the Lions, the Commanders who are upstart. the Niners mixed in there, and now the schedule's thinning out. They're atop the NFC West standings. What does the data tell you as far as what the Cardinals need to do to hang on to potentially win this NFC West title?
The schedule gets a lot easier, so that's a good thing. We do have the 49ers as a better team. Underlying stats, the DVOA, the 49ers are actually 5th, despite all the injuries that they've suffered. And the Cardinals are 12th. So we do have the 49ers as the better team, but it's not like the gap between them is huge. So in our playoff odds simulation, we end up with the Cardinals winning the division about 48% of the time, and then making the playoffs, I think 57% of the time. Because of how good some of the teams in the other divisions are, there's not a big chance of a wild card coming out of the NFC West. But it's mostly a two-team. No disrespect to the Rams and Seahawks. It's mostly a two-team race at this point between the 49ers and the Cardinals.
Cards fans are going to love hearing that. They're going to love seeing the work you guys have at FTN Fantasy. Of course, Aaron Schatz, the Chief Analytics Officer over there. Check him out on Twitter, X, whatever you call it these days. Aaron, always great to catch up with you. It's nice to hear how the Cardinals have advanced since when we talked to you in the offseason preview.
Yeah, they are definitely one of the positive surprise teams, and I think you can feel good if you're a Cardinals fan because they're not a positive surprise team in a fluky way.
Yeah.
And it's a way that involves youth because Murray is still fairly young and Harrison, and it has promise for the future on top of this year being a surprise.
Love to hear it. We'd love if you guys subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Drop a like on this video. Thanks, Aaron.
We all silly like the mayor.